Arsenal's first title after decades since the Invincible eras? And or will it be another Aguero moment that we will be seeing with Man City? Let's find out. That's what we are called. And yes, today we are breaking down the story of the season, Arsenal versus Manchester City for the Premier League title. Now, here's the thing, we are going to start talking about how this went on through the season and how it's going to play out in the next two matches. Well, while a few predictions are always on the way, let's talk about what happened early in the season. So part one, all do we always do. We always do that. We think that these titles would be decided by, let's say, the top six. We remember the river top six. Yeah, well, some teams are barely over there. We're gonna get to that team, that specific team later on. But yes, this year the title race felt way different. It wasn't the top teams hustling it out and getting points off each other that made the league title so exciting. It was actually a bit more nuanced, a bit more different. This title race has been one of the most entertaining races in the last so many years because it's either been one team that completely takes the stock barrel and goes up to the top and stays there, or you either see a 3 to 4 horse race. This time it's just two horses, two of the biggest horses. And very interestingly, as we would say in India, it's Guru versus Chela. Pep Guardiola's student, Mikel Arteta, is trying to defy him, is trying to win the league. There was a very interesting meme that used to go around when they were talking about the fact that Pep Guardiola has sent Arteta to make the league more competitive for him. But well, last year he didn't realize Liverpool would do that to him. So there the gamble went off. But this year, I think, in a way, if that meme was true, if that's what Pep was thinking, he might just be seeing the wrong end of this season. Interestingly, one thing Arsenal deserves massive credit for this season. They handle a lot of difficult fixtures very early. Remember match week 1, Manchester United away. Arsenal win 1-0. Well, we know what Manchester United has been up to, but then again, a very good win. By match week 5, they were actually competing with City, a draw nonetheless, but a ridiculous equalizer scored by Martinelli against the run of play at that point because you knew City was going to come back with a point. But no, they did not let that ball drop. They actually got a draw there as well. Match week 6, Newcastle away, and they get a 96th minute winner. Arsenal wasn't backing down. Match week 9, Crystal Palace away, another 1-0 win. Now, the thing is, these aren't glamorous victories. Actually, Arsenal at the starting of the 10 games did not look like championship material at all. But as they turn out, these actually turn out to be title winning victories. Remember, even Liverpool started the season well. They actually had 5 back-to-back wins. But post that, we all know the Liverpool collapse, and today Liverpool is not even in the top four as we speak. Part two, Manchester City's now. The next part, when you look at this analysis, was actually Manchester City's pretty much their own collapse. Now we know for a fact every season Manchester City is one of the teams to beat, is the contender for the Premier League. Every other team is actually called a dog horse because what Pep Guardiola has built over the last so many years is an absolute unit of a team with depth that is terrifying. It is terrifying across Europe, it is terrifying across England, and has been a dominant force across England for so many years. Even this year, they won the FA Cup. So, hey, they are winning trophies. But this is one of the most coveted of the all. This is the Jella cream, if I may say so. And yeah, while City started the season, it did start very badly. First match, absolutely regular win, a 4-0 victory. Not bad. Pretty much City, Haaland scoring. You know that's going to happen. Second match against Tottenham City. Who loses against Tottenham? Who loses against Tottenham Hotspurs? And they were beats 2-0 at the Etihad itself. That's madness. Match week 3, Brighton. Now, Brighton beat City 2-1 in match week 3. Now, you have to understand at this point, you know there are troubles in City. City do not lose such matches, especially not Brighton. I think Tottenham would have been fine. There is there is still starting issues, and you are facing a fairly big team, as at least on paper. But Brighton beating City was absolutely not on the cards. By match week 5, City was sitting ninth in the table and just 7 points from 5 matches. That is not a Pep Guardiola team. I know for a fact Pep Guardiola teams lose one match at least in the first 5, or at least draw, but they will not lose. They will not lose so many points initially. Now that is quite insane. Now there were problems. Obviously, we know for a fact that Pep Guardiola was dealing with something so personal and something so heavily publicized by the English media. English media loves doing this. And then there were obviously injuries to a few key players. And yeah, there wasn't just that consistency. But this week, these first 10 match weeks made City feel very vulnerable to the other teams, and which actually will get exploited further in the season. Now, this is what I was saying. You finds me a miss. Now, here's the thing. I don't think the title race is decided with the top teams. Absolutely not. It's actually decided when you are consistently winning against the points that are there for to be taken. As an Arsenal side, yes, you would have troubles taking points from Man City, from Tottenham Hotspurs. Yeah, from a Tottenham Hotspurs at time to time. You would have trouble taking points from Liverpool. You would have trouble taking points from Manchester United. You would have trouble taking points from Chelsea. That's already 5 teams from a roster of 20 teams, right? You would also have trouble in taking points from the likes of, let's say, Leeds. You would also have trouble taking points from promising teams like Bournemouth. Bournemouth actually does cause a lot of issues for the title chasers. But yeah, this is exactly where Arsenal did not fumble. They did not screw up at that point. They were actually better with the smaller teams. Arsenal built the gap. Now here's the stat that really explains this title race, right? Arsenal's key results against smaller teams: Leeds win, West Ham win, Crystal Palace win, Bournemouth win, Wolves, Everton win. They were actually not very good in these games. They weren't good. They were really finding it difficult to control. They were looking that they might succumb, but they did not. And that's exactly where they were getting the points. Now, but hey, there is a flip side to this. Their only real damaging slip ups actually came later in the season versus Bournemouth. Actually, the Bournemouth defeat later on was quite heavy for them to pay, because that did turn around the season for them. More on that later. They did draw with Brentford and Forest very late into the season. Now, that's actually part of them in the later of the season where we started saying that, they're going to bottle it up again. It's typical Arsenal, but we know where we are today. Now, wait, compare that to Manchester City. Tottenham, a complete loss. Brighton, loss. Sunderland draw, Brighton draw again. By the way, they did not have a good time with Brighton. Nottingham Forest draw, West Ham draw, Tottenham again a draw. So yeah, Tottenham. I mean, I still can't get it. Into wins, they won ugly. They scored late goals and protected narrow leads. Man City, with any Guardiola side, dominated possession but just failed to close. And this seems very familiar with the later years Pep Guardiola had with Barcelona, wherein they had the possession, they had the game, they just couldn't close. They just couldn't finish the game. They just couldn't win. By match week 30, by the way, Arsenal had only lost 2 league games all season, while City had repeatedly dropped points through draws. So, even if you see now, let me see this. Huh. Now, part 4. Arsenal was a defensive machine. Now, this is a very important point. Arsenal have had only 26 goals against them. All right, they've scored around 68 goals, but they've had only 26 goals against them. And yes, Man City, while they've scored more goals, they've had more goals conceded. The difference might just be 6 goals, but I think that makes a lot of uh, difference because today Arsenal are sitting with 24 wins. Man City are with 23 wins. Christmas, around Christmas, just Arsenal were at 48 points, but Man City 42. Now there's a 6 point gap just before Christmas. Now psychologically speaking, this means that there's a good chance Arsenal might just take the title, right? Right? Yeah. But this is where things turn around. Now, the thing is, with Man City, they knew what they had to do and they got the right recruits. Getting the right recruits through January saved Manchester City, literally. Now, to City's credit, look, January completely changed their season. There were new recruits arriving, and Semenyo, a fantastic right winger, brought such fresh energy, such intensity to the team that you could see a spring in their foot. And now I do feel like in the first part of the season, Man City did show some complacency. That actually changed with the new signings coming in. Also, with the turnaround in form with Ryan Cherky, was another point where City started to look more dangerous on attack. Okay, so yeah, they started their season in Jan and they beat Liverpool away, Fulham very comfortably, even Newcastle, and they've started to build a lot of momentum. And this is where a lot of Arsenal fans started panicking, and because well they've seen this before, just 2 seasons back when Arsenal was leading through Christmas. This is when things got bad because Man City usually switches on in the second half of the season, and that was always going to be a danger. I think Mark Arteta was already aware of. Oh, this okay. This I don't know what happened. I nobody knows what happened. Manchester United, a club which has been in turmoil for ages. Now, being a Barca fan myself, I know what it takes for a club to be in debt, be in the shitters, as you say, and actually come out. And yeah, Man U does not seem to want to come out yet. But somehow their games kind of changed a lot. Firstly, since Michael Carrick got came in charge, they had one of their first matches with Man City, and they beat them 2-0. This against the run of form and against anyone's bets. I think people betting on these matches lost a lot of money because this was not in the playbook. And literally in the next match, United beat Arsenal 3-2. Now that changed how the league was being viewed by the other teams, especially how they were viewing Arsenal and City. Now all of a sudden, both teams looked breakable. Both teams look like they have areas that can be exposed. Both teams were looking tactically not so sound, not so consistent, because the fact of the matter is Manchester United has lost against a lot of the smaller teams, and if they could end up beating City and Arsenal, the other team started to get more courageous in front of these teams. Now that actually makes a lot of changes for the teams dramatically. Never fully, yes. See, post January there was momentum, there was kicking in, but then they started dropping random points again. The thing that I told you before, the smaller teams, yes, the smaller teams started hurting them. They had a Forest draw in the later half, Tottenham draw and West Ham draw. Now these draws, if they didn't happen, they would have essentially been above Arsenal right now. While Arsenal somehow grinded those wins out. A Brighton away win, an Everton 2-0, and even a Tottenham 4-1. Every one of them results adding to their points tally. Now, at this point, well, by match week 30, Arsenal were literally 9 points clear. 9 points, guys. How do you come to 2 points? Well, that's when Bournemouth happened. Bournemouth happened exactly at that time, and where Arsenal got beat 2-1. And then came Man City versus Arsenal. City beat them 2-1 again, a title decider around match week 33. You had both teams almost at the same points around match week 33, and that's where it got more interesting because we actually thought that, well, Arsenal's going to bottle it up for sure this time. And now, as the weeks pass by, we are here sitting at match week. Sorry. 37. Oh yeah, match week 37. Okay, Arsenal has a slim 2 points lead. Now, what are the remaining fixtures? Burnley and Crystal Palace. Burnley already relegated. They have no onus. There is no agency for them to try to go for a win, unless and until they just want to give their fans a great show, right? Crystal Palace, on the other hand, not sitting pretty. They are 15 points. They are in the 15th spot. I don't think they have any hope of doing anything much. While yes, Crystal Palace is a team which ends up showing something or the other time to time, but I don't think they are going to do much. Even with Burnley, there have been no wins in the last five, and I don't think that's going to pick up because they're facing Arsenal. And yeah, with Crystal Palace, they've been struggling really bad recently. So on paper, it's an easy walk for Arsenal. City's fixtures, however, Bournemouth that has troubled Liverpool, that has troubled Arsenal, troubled a lot of the giants this season, are actually going to be facing City. Now with City, yes, there is this momentum, there is this push. There's also a lot of inspiration from the FA Cup win recently, so that is going to be key for them. But remember, Bournemouth's also a very dangerous pressing side, just like Man City, and they would ensure Man City struggle through the game. Could be a narrow 1-0 win for Man City if done right. Aston Villa is the next fixture. Now, this is where things get dangerous. Aston Villa are right now in the top four. They would want to maintain the top four as much as possible. Now, this is where Man City really need to gear up, because this match could end up being their Aguero moment or not, but I really doubt it could be. To be honest, the title race, I feel, is pretty much done. I think Arsenal are going to take the cake. They have matured. They have grown under Mikel Arteta. That team looks much more gel, much more driven, with Victor Gyökeres already heading the strike rate. They seem to have a very dependable team, especially in the strike area where they were struggling for a few years. Their wingers Martinelli and Saka have done brilliant and are actually looking at national spots. So there is every momentum, there is every motivation on their playbook to go and go for this title. And the other two fixtures, while on paper seem easy, I don't think they can be complacent. They need to go and remove the wins out, at least in the first halves of both the games, right? And yes, they've actually survived more ugly matches before. Unlike Man City, who've actually had consistently problems with smaller teams. And unfortunately, Bournemouth and Aston Villa, given the scheme of things, aren't smaller teams anymore. They're actually mid table teams. So, how are they going to survive them? That's going to be interesting. But this is what my take is. There's a Fakhtha football first take the season. I believe Arsenal are going to be champions, and we will see a glorious celebration going on in Etihad, right? Nee, nee. Right. Our first opinion on Fakta football. Yeah, I think Arsenal's taking it. Arsenal's going to win this, and I mean there has to be some kind of bad omen that's going on right now if Arsenal don't. Honestly, if Arsenal do win this actually makes the Champions League more exciting, right? Because we know for a fact we are looking at Arsenal as underdogs, and especially in front of PSG. But the fact that they have pulled off the Premier League will give a mad motivation for them going into that match. Will actually make it more exciting for neutral fans like us, right? And yeah, with City, uh, I feel they might just draw one of the two fixtures or end up on the wrong side of one of the two fixtures. Both fixtures are tough, and with both teams, they actually have motivation to go into the fixture and try to win the game or try to trouble the opponent. So, this point, City, it looks very difficult, but to be honest, I mean, I would love to have a Aguero kind of moment again this season. But yeah, let's wait to find out.